Okay, so you're probably wondering, what is this technique and how does it work, or why does it work? And so I just made this little video so that you can get a heads up. This is a technique that is taught by Faster EFT, and it is done by Robert Gene Smith, who I actually have personally met and gone to see, and he's actually done a little tiny bit of work on me. So it's a technique that just actually works with how your brain already works. So when you are happy, that is a program in your mind. When you are sad, that is also a program that is in your mind. And once I realized that, I realized I can choose which program I wish to use. The circumstances that I would react in a certain way was just a program. Environment, how you were raised, experiences, they all taught you this is the reaction you're going to have, and then that's the reaction that you have. And then I found out that you don't have to. So what this technique does is it does what your brain does for you automatically when you're happy. And it teaches you to manually get your brain to do the exact same thing. So automatically your brain will keep you happy, or you can manually do it. Now, once I found out I could manually change anything that was going on around me to allow it to not be a stressor or to cause me to react in a way that was I considered unhelpful, anything that interfered with my everyday life activities, anything that told me that this life that I have been given is not the most wonderful in the world, and that it's just too hard, and there's just always something going on that just makes life just not be happy. Yeah, I didn't realize that that was something that I didn't have to have in my life. And so 4 years ago, that's when it all changed for me. And so that is the technique. It's 1, 2, 3. 1 is focus, 2 is distract, and 3 is go happy. You repeat that. Now, how does it work? Okay, so the brain, it is not happy and it is not sad at the same time. It's usually one or the other. So what you get your brain to do is get it to focus on what is you are not happy with, and then you distract it, and then you go happy. Each time you do that round, it breaks the connection, the link, the emotion that's attached to things. That includes memories of things, images of things. That's why there are certain things that you remember are so clear, because you put that experience with such high emotion. It is staying clear and vivid in your mind, and also you see it and you think it and you recreate it all the time, and so it stays, as they say, alive. So if you had a bad experience, bad thoughts, bad memories, anything that you don't want, unwanted, and you don't want it to be there, you can actually manually make it so it's not there. Isn't that wonderful? So I learned how to do this technique. The hardest thing about this technique is the actually doing, which is manually doing the technique. That's the hardest part, because your brain is saying, no, we be sad when this happens. We grieve when this happens. We fear when this happens. We have anxiety when this happens. That's just the way it is. Many think it's an innate behavior, or they think we're imperfect, so therefore this is what we have to feel. Once I found out, wow, you don't. And as you learn the technique, you're going to start pushing yourself to actually see how, if there are bad things going on, if your brain takes it the same way. I found out I could just pretty much tell my brain in advance how I wanted it to react to things. And that's pretty much what it does now. So if someone says something to me and I'm like, ooh, that doesn't sound good. Ooh, I manually go in and make sure my brain does not react to that. So if it does happen to me, my brain knows a different way that it wants to take it. Personally, for me, there are 3 things that I instilled in my brain, and that it pretty much does automatically on almost everything. 1 is I assume there's always going to be good result that comes out of it, or the best motive of something. Number 2, I keep the big picture. What's my purpose? What am I doing? What's going on? And in the end, where do I see my life in the future? And number 3, any circumstance, I'm going to make something good from it. I'm going to create something that's going to be useful either for me or other people, like me doing this channel. Okay, I had a horrible disease that I was diagnosed with that was causing me excruciating pain, and I thought I was going to go a little insane. But fortunately, this is what I was learned, and I'm not insane. So there you go. But I decided from my experience and learning what to do, I would make sure that I shared it with everyone. And so therefore, something that I feel that everyone should know from the time they're in kindergarten, because you are taught how to tie your shoes and do math, and this is a basic skill every human being should have. So therefore, I created something good out of a very negative situation that had came into my life. Now I do that on everything, so it doesn't make a difference what it is. I know that I can see it in those 3 ways, and when I feel those 3 ways, I never have an issue with those things that are going on, that I get overwhelmed, or that any bad messages are saying things to my head, or that my body is creating turmoil because it is freaking out about what's going on. So that is how the technique works. It actually changes your pattern in your brain. Now, which part of the brain? The subconscious. The subconscious part of the brain is up to 90% or more of what we do every day. That's why you don't have to relearn how to drive every morning. You don't have to relearn how to cook. There's certain things you just instinctively do. If you were ever driving to your job and you forgot today was not the day you drive to your job, all of a sudden you're at your job and you're like, how did I get here? Because your brain, it went into pilot. And you're like, I didn't even realize I had driven here. Okay, so once you understand about how your brain processes things, how it gets afraid, how it gets scared, how it gets doubtful, how it has resentment, then you know how to make sure it doesn't do that. So the first thing you do is you focus, which is what we all like, right? We want our opinions validated. We want our fears, we want our anxieties, whatever's going on, the horrible thing that's happening, we want it validated, and we want people to tell us, hey, oh my, that's horrible. So when you focus, you're telling and talking to yourself what is going on. But then immediately you go into distract. You get your brain to think on anything. Now I use music, so I'm doing it with music because it works extremely good. But you can play games, you could do math in your head, you could do word games in your head, you could do, HIIT, what is that HIIT exercise where you do high for a certain amount of time. You could even do something like that as your distract. Then you go into step 3, which is to think of something that always makes you happy. Now it cannot be connected to anything bad. It has to make you happy. Like when you think of it, your demeanor, the way you feel is different. If you're like saying, oh, this makes me happy, and your face is still, and you feel nothing, that is not high of enough emotion for this technique. You need to have something that just really makes you pop. And that could be a pet, it could be a memory of something, it could be the thought of going somewhere, like you love the ocean. It has to be something that you really feel. So the 3 steps are extremely important. And to do them is extremely important for the technique to work. The reason why I do the videos is because you gotta get the brain used to that pattern. If you don't get it used to that pattern, you're gonna miss steps. And you're thinking, how am I gonna miss 3 steps? You will miss steps because your brain will get stuck in focus and you think it's not in focus. Distract won't be a distract, and a happy won't be a happy. So the reason why I'm having you do this for the first week is to get the pattern. The second week, you're gonna start making sure you pay attention to changes that you're getting, okay? And then you'll be letting me know what kind of changes you're kind of getting so that I can kind of see how it's working for you. Because if it's not getting really big drops and staying down, I'll probably have a little chit chat with you to see exactly what your happy place is. I'll ask you what you're really doing for a chit chat, and I'll also ask you what your brain is telling you. if you want my help in that, you can have it. I'm here for that. And then, of course, as we progress further, I'll talk about, what you're getting to the next level. But right now, I'm just trying to help your brain be introduced to this new concept. It's not going to like it because it's not designed. Well, I shouldn't say designed. It has not been trained to release bad emotions. And I hate to say bad emotions. I shouldn't use that term because all emotions are useful. It hasn't been trained to use emotions that make us uncomfortable in a proper way. We usually get drowned in them. And then we think this is normal. We're supposed to grieve this much. We're supposed to hate this much. We're supposed to get this angry. This is just the way it is, and then it'll recede. Well, yes, you can feel it, but it can recede a whole lot faster than what we usually do. We like to take hours. We like to take days. We like to take weeks, months, and even years of our life processing an emotion, an event of something that happened to us. So you can actually learn to accept it, which is why it works really fast. The focusing is getting you to accept what is going on and then feeling it and then starting to release it through the distract and through the happy. So your brain is saying, no, it is not right. It's not correct to feel good when bad is going on or to stay feeling good. This is a natural way because that's all it knows to do. But as soon as you train your brain that, hey, you can have horror going on around you and have a sense of peace inside of you, you'll be like, oh, wow, that's so much better. And then your brain will do everything in its power to maintain that inner peace. Now it does everything in its power to maintain the unhappy so that it can be validated and it can be experienced over and over and over again. And then finally release. What you're going to learn is accept, feel, release, accept, feel, release, accept, feel, release. You get bad news. Boom. Accept it. Feel it, what you were having. And then once it's done, you start to release it immediately. The brain will start to downplay it and start to release it because once something is done, it's done. Whatever happened to us 10 years ago happened 10 years ago. It's been over for 10 years. It's only our brain that has been trained to keep it alive, is why it's alive. If you train your brain not to keep it alive, it will not keep it alive for you. So I hope you like what we're going to be doing in the next 4 weeks. And I hope you'll think it's worth $1 million the way I did when I learned it and they retrained my brain. I will tell you, everyone that I do work with pretty much agrees with me. So hopefully at the end of 4 weeks, you will agree that you have the most amazing tool in your head that you did not know, and you will be starting to use it in incredible, amazing ways.